But we'll turn our attention here to Dan Musser, who is looking to make the finals of another Open Series event. He, unfortunately for him, is super, super good at losing in the finals of these darn things. I watched him lose in the finals when we were in Cleveland, the only time, and apparently the only time ever. And Jerry Thompson also beat him in the finals when he was going back-to-back. So, Dan really good at being the second place man. Sensei's Vine Top to start things off here. That's a... Oh, hey, what do you think of that mountain? I like it.
It appears to be... Is that an M15 altar of some sort?
I believe so. It's a sexy mountain right there.
Uh-oh.
Red blasts. Nope.
All right, well, Jack passes the first test. This could have been over real fast.
Yes, and that's why things get a little bit difficult. Dan wanted to establish a lock right away, wasn't able to. Here's a Bloodstained Mire, so Kitchen's going to search up probably a basic mountain, but we'll see.
I saw Jack, I was just randomly birding one of his matches in the Swiss rounds against BBD. Definitely had a good understanding of how to play this deck, the various nuances, and it was against BBD playing Counterbalance. So he definitely has a handle on the matchup, even if the matchup's bad. Jack knows what's going on here.
Here's a Goblin Welder, and that's going to resolve. Looks like a bit of a labor of love here for Kitchen.
For sure. And the Welder here is significant because even if Dan is able to establish a counterbalance lock, it's a way for him to sneak Grindstone into play.
Also going to play a Fluttershy before passing the turn back over to Kitchen. Kitchen will draw a card for the turn. Looks like it may have been a copy of Phyrexian Revoker.
Give him that beat down.
That's right. Nothing to weld here. Weld your face, maybe. Here's an Ancient Tomb.
I don't know if there's a creature in Magic that has a higher ceiling and a lower floor than Goblin Welder. When it's at its best, it looks like the best creature in Magic, period. And there are sometimes it's just Mons Goblin Raiders with a lot of text.
Here's a Revoker. A response here from Musser. He will sacrifice this Flooded Strand. I imagine that once Revoker resolves, it will name Sensei's Divine Top, but Musser's got some work to do first.
Musser did have an option there of just putting the top on top of his deck, drawing a card, and shuffling it away. At that point, Jack may still name Sensei's Divine Top, maybe name something like Jace the Mind Sculptor.
Here's some Dealing Click. Nope. Power Blast that. That can kindly leave. See if Dan wants to draw a card now.
I wonder if these Boo players ever feel cheated playing against the main deck Red Blast decks.
That's probably unlikely. There's Terminus. Well, that's lucky. Bye-bye creatures. Those are going to go to the bottom. Musser's top is back on. There's a mountain. And I don't know if you caught a glimpse of Dan's hand, but he does have a copy of Jace the Mind Sculptor. And the Wooded Foothills is where Kitchen is going to start. This is a Grindstone. Dan says, I'll spin the top with the mountain. Not sure if I want to let that resolve. It's a little bit scary.
And if you can deny Jack any of his combo pieces, it makes it that much easier to simply play Jace and try to lock Jack out.
Yeah. Force of Will, Jace the Mind Sculptor, and a Fetch Land are the cards that Dan is looking at there with the top.
It's interesting. Is this Grindstone threatening enough where Dan is willing to say, draw with Sensei's Divine Top and Force of Will at pitching the Venser? Or is he just going to let this land?
There's a Welder. And pass the turn back again. No artifacts in the graveyard there for Kitchen. So Musser is going to spin. Take a look here. Now, you do have to get a little creative around the Grindstone because depending on what Musser leaves on top of his deck, if Kitchen's got a feeling, that he's organized incorrectly, you can just say, all right, Grindstone you.
Yeah,
and try to catch you.
I've seen this dance before, and it's complicated for both players. And this came up when Jack was playing against BBD in the match I was watching too, where they were both trying to jockey around, BBD having active Counterbalance plus Divine Top versus Jack's active Grindstone.
But what makes this truly interesting too is that Musser can also position himself where he says, well, actually, I kind of want you to mill me because my card's stuck.
Yeah.
And of course, Kitchen also has the ability to mill himself, especially when he has a Sensei's Divine Top of his own, to kind of clear the top of his deck. Also, he can mill himself to try to get some artifacts in there to weld with. So you can definitely get a little creative here. As here's a Venser.
Yeah, there's no lack of room for both players to maneuver in this kind of board state.
Yeah.
And a lot of it's just going to be kind of hunches and guesses, too.
Ancient Tomb is going to tap for some mana here. Simeon's Spirit Guide.
Nice.
And now he's going to grind. The question is, who's he going to grind? So will it be himself? And it looks like it will be. There goes an Enlightened Tutor, and there's an Ancient Tomb.
And he's grinding himself here because the Welder's in play. If he's able to flip over some value artifacts, make the Welder much more effective.
Good old Grindstone.
It's a sweet design.
I like it a lot.
I like it a lot. It's a little lame alongside Painter's Servant, of course, ruins some of the fun.
Yeah.
But this is a cool card.
That's just some guy's head just being grinded away.
I assume so.
That's not very nice.
Something unpleasant is happening to someone. The flavor of Millstone effects have always been driving someone to madness.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Kitchen gonna draw a card here. This is the Grindstone again. Will Musser counter this? He's got Force of Will plus Jace. Yes is the answer. A bit risky when there's a Welder out there. Because if Kitchen just plays an artifact like that pain, oh boy.
This was some curious sequencing here. I'm surprised Dan went out of his way to Venser here when he could have established Jace and then Force of Will the first spell. I know that's risky, you know, maybe Jack draws perfectly and your defenses are down. Dan was trying to be very aggressive about fighting over the combo pieces, but it leaves Dan in a spot where he just has a Venser and a Divining Top, where he could have been a little bit riskier, but gotten Jace into play.
You want to talk about a spot where Welder's good? This is definitely one of them, because Dan's draws a Jace. We know that. So now the question is, all right, well, how does he use the Jace? What can he do to get himself out of this situation? There isn't really a great way to do that. Now, if he plays the Jace and bounces the Painter's Servant, Kitchen just says, I can just weld, or I can just let that happen.
Yeah.
And if he welds, he says, all right, out goes the Servant, in goes the Grindstone. And on the next turn, because Dan's tapped out, there's a Grindstone in play. Kitchen says, activate my Grindstone. In response to that, weld, get my Painter's Servant back, out goes the Grindstone, and I'll mill you for it all. Now, the Painter's Servant in play right now is on green. But I'm not sure if Dan has a way out of this situation. He's going to take a look at the Welder.
Well, if he bounces the Welder, that puts him in a spot where the Welder is summoning sick on the replay. So he has some opportunity to either unsummon again, find a source of Plowshares or so forth, and try to break it up that way.
He's going to Fate Seal? Well, that's not it.
I think I have some bad news.
Fate Seal's the worst of the bunch. Yeah, and it looks like Dan couldn't figure out the way out of the situation, assuming that there was one. So now Kitchen, and you said he knows how to play his deck. He says, I'm activate Grindstone. Response to that, activate this, weld in my Painter's Servant, weld out my Grindstone, name green, then Grindstone's ability resolves, and I promise it will keep hitting.
Some lessons need to be learned but once.
Yes.
This is one of them.
And you see Dan kind of with that affirming nod. He's going to draw a card. That's going to go on top of the deck. Yep, name green. Get all of it.
Yep.
It seems like Dan may have just realized the error of his ways. He's trying to think, was there a way for me to get myself out of the situation? And this might be like a kind of a learning moment for him right now before he concedes the game. Thinking, man, I couldn't figure out a way out of this. And it looked like the way was the way you mentioned, which was to unsummon the Welder.
And try again. If he finds a permanent answer to the Welder, things are fine for the time being.
Yep.
But instead, and Jack with a bemused look on his face, a little smirk.
Not the first guy I've done that to.
No.
That's for sure. Jack Kitchen does win game number 1 here over Dan Musser. Imperial Painter surprisingly up a game here over Blue White Red Miracles, as we will come back to the booth. As it is time for 6 months of trivia, rules or question.
I will take the question.
Nice.
I'll take the question.
I appreciate it. Rules are simple. Hashtag SCG Premium at SCG Live is what you should be following on Twitter. Patrick got your 6-month question. We'll announce the winner at the conclusion of our semifinal round. And of course, all contests and giveaways here with SCG Live are at the sole discretion of Star City Games. At no point are our contests with Twitch.tv. But we do thank them for allowing us to broadcast on their fantastic network.
Now that's a sponsorship in contrast to Red Bull that I would be interested in.
We want that.
So let's see if we can make a way to make that happen.
You know why we want that?
Why?
They don't kill you.
They don't kill you,
Yeah.
as far as we know.
Yeah.
Anyhow, we're in New Jersey right now, Season 3 Invitational. We're about to wrap it up here. In a couple months, we will be doing the Season 4 Invitational the week before the Players' Championship in Roanoke. Name the location of that event.
It's pretty sweet there. If you can, hashtag SCG Premium at SCG Lives, which you should be following on Twitter. And again, we will announce the winner and the name of that fantastic, awesome, beautiful city
I like it too.
at the conclusion of our semifinal round.
It's no Central New Jersey, but it's fine.
You're right. It is not Central New Jersey. But what is?
Yeah.
What
the
is?
only place in the world that makes a lick of sense to me.
That's right. We will head back down to the match, take a look at the sideboards here. For Musser, we got a Cage, a Needle, a Staticaster, 2 copies of Rest in Peace, a Counterspell, 2 copies of Fluster Storm, Misdirection, a Red Elemental Blast, a Wear Tear, Venser Shaper Savannah, Council's Judgment, Entreat the Angels, and a copy of Supreme Verdict. What do you like?
I do like basically Dan's answers to permanence. Jack's deck is about building up a density of permanence. So the Wear Tear, the Venser, the Council's Judgment, I like all those cards in the matchup. I think the Counterspell will be excellent here. I think Recipes may be a little too narrow because Jack does use his graveyard in some elements like we saw in that game, but it's not the primary game plan. Besides that, the Pithy Needle as well, that's a very good answer to Grindstone. So just the things that help him contain permanence, I think he's going to want to board in.
On Jack Kitchen's side, he's got 1s and 2s as well. This is what I love about Legacy. These sideboards, a Bridge, a Bomb, Sword of Light and Shadow, Thorn of Amethyst, 2 Tormod Scripts, a Trinisphere, Ethelsworn Canonist, the Manic Vandal, 1 Rest in Peace of his own, 3 Fire Blast, a Red Elemental Blast, and your good buddy, Koth! Good old Koth of the Hammer.
My homie. Well, I think Koth's coming in. It's a good kind of alternate way to win the game against control decks. The additional Red Elemental Blast is good to bring in here as well. I think that you're going to see the Ratchet Bomb come in as it's either set to 0, can answer Entreat, or he can go to 2 and blow up Counterbalance because Ratchet Bomb can touch enchantments. And after that, you know, I don't, maybe Trinisphere is fine in this matchup. Maybe Sword of Light and Shadow's okay. They don't seem that well suited to the games. There's some kind of narrow cards in the sideboard that maybe he wants to go to, but the only surefire ones, I think, are the Red Blast, the Koth, and the Ratchet Bomb. And he has 2 easy cuts, the 2 copies of Ensnaring Bridge. Those can leave very easily. The rest of his deck is, I feel like these cards are all fine for the matchup. I think 1 Magus of the Moon is worth keeping it as an Imperial Recruiter target. It's not going to be great all the time, but there'll be random spots, and I don't think he'll mind drawing one. And besides that, I don't think there's a lot of sideboarding to be done.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know if he wants to leave in the Blood Moon effects. Again, there are times where those are good. There are times where they'll do absolutely nothing, excuse me, again, because Musser doesn't have as many basics as Reed did in the Invitational, but he does have 4 islands, 2 plains, and a mountain. So he does have 7 basics. Of course, the mountain doesn't matter very much when Blood Moon's in play, so we'll see.
I don't know. You know, 4 Blood Moons and a Magus, that's a lot. I would want, if I'm in Jack's position, probably some number of them, just because there's not really that many cards to sideboard in, and the 2 bridges are definitely worse than the 4 Blood Moons.
Yeah, I mean, that's not close.
But if I could find a way to go down to, say, 1 or 2 copies of Blood Moon and 1 Magus, I'd be pretty happy in Jack's spot.
Quick update for you guys on our backup match. Ross Merriam with Combo Elves up a game over Michael Derzo playing Death and Taxes. We felt that this would be a pretty good one for Ross, and he's quickly up a game. As he was against David Shields in Providence, if you do remember. Didn't take him long, game number 1 there either. But if memory serves,
We've seen this before.
we have. Oh, Patrick, apparently we're being told that Red Bull gives you wings.
I'm afraid it may give you cancer, but whatever. I hope no Red Bull executives are watching this broadcast right now.
A second Scalding Dart. Here is an Ancient Tomb. And this is a Sensei's Divining Top.
The Sensei's Divining Top, much less impressive in Jack's deck than it is in Dan's, but
Bold.
it is a necessary evil for a deck without much selection.
I actually like Jack's Mountains, like, way too much. I absolutely love them. Top's gonna resolve, so it's time to spin. Couple of blast effects there.
I feel like of the decks that I see in Legacy, the ones that are most commonly tricked out are Imperial Painter decks.
See what Musser finds for this turn.
Part of that is because no one really wants these cards. A lot of the cards that appear in this deck, they're not really...
It only goes in one deck.
Yeah.
It's just this one. Here's the Arid Mesa. Kitchen's gonna draw.
Dude, a foiled giant ballard, sick.
That's all.
Yeah,
That's all you, man.
That's all you.
You keep that. This deck went on a run last summer, though.
Oh yeah.
It was cutting up Open Series events.
Anytime the Delver strategies are the thing to be doing, and that's often the case in Legacy. These decks with fast Blood Moons and a bunch of Red Blasts in them, they are good metagame calls.
Yeah. Kitchen just going to pass the turn back. Musser draws a card again. You see him with just 3 fetch lands in play. There's an island. See what kind of move he's going to make here. He's going to tread pretty carefully, I imagine. He's going to spin the top here. Little Kitchen. A couple of blast effects. Not sure what that third card is, but he brings it to the front. See if he can find maybe another land. Yep, there's a plateau. That's into play. Let's see what this is. Kitchen's going to take 2. Maybe it's time for a Painter's Servant? Yes, sir.
See, you can afford to get the 4 and black border plateaus, because who wants a plateau? There's Gerard's Team Italia deck, I guess.
Splashing Goblins.
Splashing Goblins for Thalia.
Thanks.
I played a couple of my zoo deck.
Yep.
Drew it alongside Kurt Ape a lot.
Good friends. Well, this is actually a card that forces Musser to actually make a move. But if you try to counter this, chances of that working out are probably pretty slim due to the blast effects in the deck.
Yeah, now this really contorts the play too, because those red elemental blasts, besides being counterspell anything, are now vindicates as well.
Yeah.
So if Dan ever gets sloppy with the way that he taps his mana or taps too low, Jack can start initiating fights by going after Dan's lands.
Let's see what Dan wants to do here. You see his hand? I think he's got like 2 counter spells and a spell pierce over there. He's gonna sacrifice both of these Scalding Tarns. Looks like he's gonna get a couple of islands. Yep. Wants to make sure he's good against Blood Moon. Kitchen being very patient here. Let's see what this is. It feels like a Vendilion Click maybe. Yep. See if Kitchen lets this resolve. He's going to consult the grip again. We know he has 2 blast effects on the top of his deck. Not sure how many in hand. Yeah, that's 1. Musser will sacrifice this. Draw a card. There's a Tundra.
Yeah, Musser has to get a non-basic here because he, of course, can't get an island off of the Arid Mesa. So a small victory here for Jack.
Spell Pierce. Time to continue fighting. Maybe yes, maybe no. He will target Kitchen. There you see a hand, another Pyroblast, a Ratchet Bomb. There's a Blood Moon, a Simian Spirit Guide, another artifact, though I can't make it out very well.
Yeah, Revoker, Ratchet Bomb,
Gotcha.
Blood Moon. A typically disconnected Imperial Painter hand, but one that can also kill very quickly with the right tool.
Yeah, with the right draws. That's what the top allows for. Yeah, Musser's hand is like all permission.
There's a lot of the sneak and show element to this deck too, of the hand is just a total mess, and then it's just 1 draw away from killing Dan.
Power Blast goes to the bottom. That will be replaced with the blast effect in just a moment. So Musser's going to draw. Picks up a copy of Counterbalance. That'll change some things if that gets into play. Here's an attack for 3 to start things up. Musser with the planes. Will he try to balance?
And you were correct. Jack did pick up a red blast.
Yep. Hiya. No, sir. Perhaps we fight back?
I mean, this seems like a great spot to use a Spell Pierce.
Yeah.
Spell Pierce is not going to be an effective tool for Dan to fight over the Grindstone. I don't think he cares that much about Blood Moon. So if not this, then what?
Yeah, I actually think it's pretty important to get balance into play. Looks like he may consider casting Counterspell. But I'm with you. I think I would Pierce here if I could.
Now this is, the issue here is now he shields down. You know, he's only got blue, white up and a Counterspell in hand.
going to draw a card Will Kitchen again because he knows the top card. So there's Simian Spirit Guide, Pyroblast that. Top's on top of his deck. So the big fight here is over Counterbalance.
That's a working man's force of will right there.
Yeah. Gotta get a little creative sometimes.
Yeah.
All Musser can do is shrug his shoulders and say, okay, that's fine. Now, this is where things do get a little bit interesting. Kitchen's going to draw his top for the turn, but he's used a lot of blast effects this game.
But it's not clear how much resistance Dan has left.
Doesn't need much if he can just attack for 3 every turn.
That's true. And Jack now falling to 11 by tapping this Ancient Tomb.
Spin the top. 2, 3. Well, there's another blast effect.
Another red blast.
Yeah.
As mandated by the law of Imperial Planar, playing against a blue deck, you do draw at least 5 red blasts over the course of the game.
Well, Ross has trouble against Death and Taxes after sideboard, I guess.
This is bizarre.
Yep, he's going to game 3 right now, as Derzo is able to tie it up. There's a Phyrexian Revoker. Let's see what this name's.
I would assume Jace the Mind Sculptor, since Jack is the one currently with a Divining Top.
Ah, yes. Jace the Mind Sculptor it is. Musser will draw a card.
And it looks like Dan has picked up a Council's Judgment this turn, which is really nice. I like these board control elements a lot in the sideboard.
I do too.
Because of the red blast, it's really hard for him to just play this reactive game and sit on a bunch of counterspells. Jack, oddly enough, is going to be the one more efficient in the counterspell fight. But these turns are so good for Dan. Just kill something you have in play, force you to try to rebuild.
Council's Judgment says, get the painter off the table. Please, no more of this. And Vendilion Cliff's going to try to go the distance. Kitchen will draw. Picks up a copy of Red Blast. Attack for 2. Musser's down to 14. See the Blood Moon there. Here's a blast. Yeah, Dan, no.
Yeah, he's trying to go all the way with this Vendilion Click.
Can't counter that fast enough.
That's the plan.
After Kitchen, you don't want to tap that Ancient Tomb. You don't want to go to 6. Here's an attack. Kitchen's down to 5. There's a Flooded Strand. Pass it back, spin the top. Hit 1, 2, and 3. Simian Spirit Guide among those cards. Kitchen will not rearrange, but he will draw the card on top of his deck. Let's see where he starts. Begin by attacking for 2. Musser down to 12. See the Blood Moon there in Kitchen's hand. Just not all that great this game.
And I'm not sure there's any way for Jack to shuffle his deck at this juncture, so he might be locked. And I think the top 3 cards were of no help. He does get a redraw the following turn, where he's 1 card deeper.
Gotta spin the top now, get 1 card deeper. See if you can find something that helps. There's a Bloodstained Mire, draw the card. Let's see what this is. 3 mana.
Oh, wow.
Snaring Bridge still in the deck. Counterspell says, no sir.
Okay.
And that is going to do it, as Kitchen had to go down to 3 to cast that. And Dan Musser gonna even it up here against Jack Kitchen, Blood Red Miracles, and Imperial Painter, heading to a 3rd and final game. Much like on the other side of our bracket, Michael Derzo and Ross Merriam are headed to a 3rd game.
Kind of odd stuff. I'm not sure where Jack's made room in the sideboard here, because the Blood Moons are still in the deck. Or at least 1 copy.
At least 1, yes.
And the Ensnaring Bridge is still in the deck. And the rest of this seems pretty good. Maybe Enlightened Tutor got the axe? He's pretty redundant post-board. And Enlightened Tutor is pretty poor against Sensei's Divine, top, Counterbalance, of course.
Yeah. I don't know, you see the options on the screen there for both players.
We'll look at the creature base here. There's 4 Imperial Recruiters and 4 Painter Servants. Can't touch those. 3 copies of Simian Spirit Guide. That feels like it's part of the mana base, if anything. 2 Phyrexian Revokers. We saw Jack cast 1 that game. Also, Revoker is very good against Dan's deck. Ajaya Ballard. That card seems solid. Wouldn't want to cut that.
Yep.
Amacus of the Moon. Maybe that goes. But I'm curious where did room get made to keep in something like Ensnaring Bridge. Now, Jack doesn't have a lot of cards to bring in my opinion. Only Koth, Red Blast, and Ratchet Bomb seem like clear adds to the deck. But that's still 3, and there aren't a lot of obvious cuts in my opinion.
And I see both players took a look there at the deck lists. I want to make sure that they know exactly what each other have access to. Musser's going to give things a look here, but Kitchen is already shuffling up. He is happy enough with his configuration, and he's got all those blast effects. I was a little bit surprised to see Dan win that game where he drew so many blue cards and Jack drew so many blasts.
Yeah, but you know, you can see in this matchup it may not be the easiest thing for Dan to control the game forever because Jack's pretty redundant and he has a lot of backdoor ways to assemble the combo, especially through Goblin Welder. But turning the game into some sort of tempo game where he resolves an early click, maybe an early entreat, and tries to run the game that way, that may be a better game plan for Dan than trying to lock Jack out altogether. So when you played Imperial Painter at the Open, how different was your list than the one that Jack's piloting right now?
I was mono red. I wasn't splashing with white. I was actually playing Jonathan Suarez's copy of the deck.
Okay.
He ended up winning an Open Series in Baltimore, the Legacy Open there with Imperial Painter last summer. So I was just playing, like, you know, his recommendation in 75. You do see some lists that are splashing white for a small Enlightened Tutor package along with Rest in Peace and maybe a couple other bullets, but just playing mono red. Won the first 2 matches pretty easily. I think it was, I played against Merfolk, like Death and Taxes the first 2 rounds. Those were both pretty easy. Merfolk especially, all these sweet blasts. So that was pretty cool. Ended up getting a draw against, you know, that mono blue control deck that Henry Romero was playing on feature match, and then I ran into Miracles twice, and I gave it my all, but it went through. It just got really problematic.
Do you think the first time that someone played Imperial Painter in a tournament, in a large tournament, how many deck checks do you think people called on that? A deck check.
Deck checks, yeah.
Yeah, just
after
the 5th red blast in game 1 or whatever.
Yeah. Judge, there's no way, right? There's no way. Okay, so this guy's a maniac then?
Yep.
With all these red blasts, he just thinks he's gonna be paired against blue all day. Yeah, just like the turn 1, just red blast your brainstorm. Okay. All right. Blue shirt over here.
Do a little Gandrin.
Yeah. Kitchen will be on the play. Let's see if he likes his 7. He's happy. Musser. He's giving it a long look. Now it's time to go in the tank.
It's always much tougher in these matches when you're on the draw, when you're facing down decks that are capable of turn 2 kills with multiple red blasts back up. You know, how greedy are you supposed to be with the hands that you keep? Are you mulliganing for a premium hand, or are you happy keeping something that's susceptible to being killed very quickly?
And also a deck that has, you know, Ancient Tomb and Insidia Traders that can generate a lot of mana very quickly. And Musser is going to ship it back, so we'll see if he can find a better 6.
I like aggressive mulliganing from counterbalance players because the deck can kind of futz around for the first couple turns of the game. And against very quick decks, that can spell your doom. I'm not sure if he was mulliganing aggressively or not, or if he was just drawing bad hands, but in the finals of the Invitational, when Reed was playing against Tom, Reed mulliganed a bunch of times because he knows that his, you know, mediocre, kind of slowish hands, those are not going to get it done. And Dan's in a similar matchup, not as bad of a matchup as Infect is for Miracles, but he should put a premium on finding a hand that can interact quickly, even if it means mulliganing in a way that a hand that looks fine, you know, lands and spells. He might need to be more specific.
Let's see if he can find a better 6 here. Again, both matches in game 3 right now. Merriam might be having a heck of a time with Death and Taxes.
These decks play 23 to 24 lands, which is a lot by Legacy standards, and they're pretty wasteland proof.
Yeah.
Sensei's Divining Top plus Brainstorm. Some of these builds play Ponder as well. PvD plays Preordain. The short of it is you can afford to mulligan pretty aggressively because you can cobble together a reasonable starting hand pretty easily.
This one looks okay. Yeah, and he keeps pretty quickly. I think I saw a land and a top in there, and you know that's oftentimes plenty fine. Kitchen has a top as well. Musser going to draw his card. Tundra to start.
So Musser has brought in his red blast.
Oh, I love it.
Now, the issue here is if this is on Jack's radar, he can simply set Imperial Painter to green and win the game that way. But if it's not on Jack's radar, then these red blasts could be as good for Dan as they are for Jack.
The moon has arrived.
Well, now Dan can cast his red blast.
Yep.
Wasn't clear if he could do that before, but he can do it now.
Yeah, his fetch lands stink now, though.
Yes. This is one of the weird games where, you know, it's not going to happen a lot, but Blood Moon may be a factor here, although Dan has drawn a Plains, and that's a huge draw since he's just been cut off a white.
Yeah. Hasn't played any blue mana yet either. Maybe on purpose. Going to spin the top there at the City of Traders. Don't forget, City of Traders is a mountain now. So if Jack were to play a land, City of Traders would not die.
Yeah.
Jack actually looking at another copy of Blood Moon among those top 3 cards. Will draw a card. It's a copy of Painter's Servant. Will he deploy? Nope, not yet. Yep. No, Table Spotter.
Spotter says, what about City of Traders? And Jack says, what about Blood Moon?
Yeah. Not my first rodeo.
And now, also Wear Tear. Turned on for Dan.
Yeah. All the answers.
Well, Dan getting a little bit of help from this Blood Moon.
Musser does finish spinning the top. Time to draw a card. You see the island in the hand. Brainstorm added to it now as well. So it's just going to kick it back. Now Kitchen will spin his top. With any luck, they'll reprint this card in Cons of Dark Air.
I would be surprised if the reservation to reprint fetch lands is the amount of time they drain out of tournaments. Sensei's Divine Top, a much worse offender.
I fail to see the problem.
Also, probably shouldn't reprint cards in standard legal sets that are banned in modern, because that's kind of confusing, but whatever.
Game designer Patrick has spoken.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
It's a little confusing.
Kitchen gonna pass, no spell.
Yeah, he's got a lot of red blasts in hand, so he can sort of take his time here.
Brainstorm's good. Dan gonna have to put 2 cards back here. He's got the Mystic Gate in his deck.
There is a lot of Joe Lissette in this list.
Absolutely.
A couple main deck red blast, a main deck fencer.
He's got the 3 Vendilions, 1 Fencer, 1 Snapcaster.
Yeah.
That's the Joe Lissette creature base right there. Now we're going to spin. This allows him to get 1 card deeper in the deck. Rest in peace among them. The question is, does Dan found land? To be fair, fetch lands are no good right now again because of Blood Moon.
Dan's done a lot of sideboarding in this matchup. There's a lot of second and third rate options that he's elected to bring in. The red elemental blast and the rest in peace definitely in that category, in my opinion.
Yeah, there's the Mystic Gate. We knew he had that one. It looks like he has Caracas too. Now Mystic Gate, of course, he'll not be generating blue or white, but actually red. So going to do his best rugged prairie impersonation.
Oh, good reference.
Thank you. Another blast effector on there for Kitchen.
It's funny, it feels like both of these players are scared to make the first move because of what the consequences might be.
It's probably a cascading effect from there.
Yeah.
He's gonna go a reach-in. Painter's Servant. Gonna come to the party.
We'll see if the red blast is something that is on Dan's radar, or Jack's radar right now.
Let's see what color he names. Oh, he names blue. And I think Dan is gonna make his move now. I think he's gonna go for the wear and tear. We don't see this fused a lot, but that's the 1-2 punch. It's time for a blast. Now Dan is wondering, do I blast back?
I think if Dan was planning on breaking out of the lock here, I might have started the action by red blasting Jack's land.
Okay.
His untapped mountain, because then you can untap, fuse the wear tear. You get out of the Blood Moon. The Imperial Painter, the Imperial Servant dies. Imperial Painter rather dies, and then Jack now has a City of Traders and a Plateau in play. Probably has to play another land at some point.
Mm-hmm. be an interesting way to kick things off.
I just have a real tough time giving up on a stone rain, you know?
That's fair. You've cast quite a few pillages in your day. Yeah, here's a red blast.
I don't know if that plays necessarily right, but it is an angle that just stuck out to me. Just get him. Especially a guy who's missing land drops when he has a City of Traders in play. You're about to turn back into a City of Traders.
See both players going back and forth here. Want to make sure everything is being done appropriately here with the judge. Make sure they understand all the interactions, especially when there's Painter Servant in play. So that's on the stack. This is on the stack. So we'll see if we can figure out exactly what is being asked. And so now Dan's just going to say, I'll blast your Painter Servant because that's blue. And then Wear Tear will resolve to the best of its ability since it has 2 targets. And then there goes the enchantment.
Yeah, because the red blast, once the red blast resolves on the Painter Servant, the red elemental blast that Jack is casting is no longer a legal target because it's on a Wear Tear, which is red and white.
Yep. Dan gonna spin the top now.
It all works out fine, although Jack perhaps has a land he should not have.
Perhaps.
Could get him.
Musser does organize with top. We'll draw a card here. And his mana's back on. There's a Caracas. He also has a very powerful tool in Counterbalance.
And this is a great spot for Dan to get this in.
And another top 2 is huge.
A lot of Jack's action is now locked out.
Yep.
I mean, the upshot is he can try to get a Phyrexian Revoker into play.
Oh, somebody knew they added 2. Rest in peace. It's almost like he set that up.
And now Jack is in a lot of trouble.
Oh, the sleeper hold is on. Now you can just pass the turn back. That's it. Gonna spin. And Rest in Peace is probably gonna go away. Terminus among other cards in there. Quick update for you guys. Ross Merriam doesn't lose the Death and Taxes this time. He's headed to the finals. Gonna play the winner of this match. Combo Elves moves on to the finals to play against Miracles or Imperial Painter, as Musser's gonna play an Arid Mesa and kick it back.
And Jack may be entering the Simian Spirit Guide beatdown phase of the game here.
Been there.
He has a Manic Vandal too, so I mean, he has no end of Grey Ogres here.
Did it myself at the Open.
How'd it feel?
It was embarrassing.
Yeah.
Humbling moment. There's a Blood Moon. Musser. His last card is actually a pretty gosh darn good one. It's a Venser, I believe. He's going to spin first. See if he can find a 3. Don't think he does. So now he wants to prepare the top of his deck. For if he has to draw a card with the top. But he does have Caracas among his lands, and so he can get a little cute with the old Venser Caracas shenanigans.
He may be trying to find, kind of an easier line, which is just finding a 3 off the top. But Dan has a lot of options right now. He can sack this Arid Mesa if he's feeling so inclined to. Get a fresh look at it. It looks like he's saying, he looks like it's floating a blue and saying that resolves.
The Vent Star. Let's see what this is going to target. The top. I like that.
Oh, I like this.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
That's the play of a very confident man.
Yes, it is.
You can keep that Blood Moon.
Gonna draw a card. Now he's gonna spin.
Looks at nothing but 1s up there too. It looks like a Pyroblast, a Goblin Welder.
Yeah, Musser must be supremely confident to do this.
If he's not even bothering to
Fetch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, his Caracas is off. So basically what he's saying is, me having a 1 and a 2 in play, or excuse me, we having a counterbalance and 2 tops in play, you can't get out of this. That's what he's saying by doing this.
And he might be right.
Well, perhaps our good friend Simian Spirit Guide has other ideas. Have you considered that? Ensnaring Bridge 2.
Ensnaring Bridge also a pretty tough card to be playing in a game where you're likely to be locked out of playing anything.
Yeah.
But you do what you can do.
The bridge. Bridge resolves. It's in. Musser draws. In for 2. Kitchen will take 2 more.
Now, there's a lot of draws right now that, you know, Dan really can't leverage because of the Blood Moon in play. For example, he can't do anything with Entreat. He can't do anything with Jace the Mind Sculptor. So he's in a bit of a holding pattern himself, and he can't shuffle his deck anymore because the fetch lands are cut off.
I was actually surprised he didn't sacrifice the fetch land before letting Blood Moon resolve. That's the one that really surprised me. I love the play of entering the top and not letting Kitchen have it and have to play off the top of his deck. But I was actually genuinely surprised to not see him sacrifice the fetch land and clear the top, because the top of his deck, pretty bad.
Well, even if the top of his deck is medium, getting a basic planes into play here, unless he's cut Entreat altogether, seems pretty valuable.
There's a rest in peace. So there go the graveyards. Musser does have a Brainstorm in his hand now. He's getting the shop set up. Or at least he's trying. Simian Spirit Guide is holding down the fort for Jack.
I think Simian Spirit Guide's going to be getting into the red zone momentarily.
Excuse me?
Well, you know, can't win by blocking.
2 and 3. Swords of Plowshares among the cards there. Sensei's Divine Top, no sir. The Simian Spirit Guide, I think, is not long for this world now.
Yeah. But Jack does have the backup Manic Vandal, so he can reassemble,
Yes.
as it were. Imperial Painter with no end of backup Grey Ogres.
Yes, but a bevy.
If someone could win a tournament with Imperial Painter with a literal Grey Ogre in their deck as a Imperial Recruiter target, I would be very happy.
Is that what you want?
Just one.
Yeah.
Like, replace the Jaya Ballard. Who even cares? You know?
Just our good friend Grey Ogre.
Yeah, sure. I mean, you can get a beta one, too, which is pretty sweet.
Yeah, shell out.
Yeah.
There's a Foothills. See what this is going to be. That's an attempt at a welder.
Beta Grey Ogres and much more available at StarCityGames.com.
Spin the top. Dan might have to put one of these tops back on top now.
I don't even know how much. If it's free for him to counter it like this, I suppose he will.
Oh, now we're moving. Yep. This is a little bit interesting now. Yep. This is the way for Kitchen to break out of the lock.
Yeah, he has to set up a sea of red blasts in response to these divining top activations.
And Welder was a card that was good enough to cause all this action. Now you see the stack organization here.
So Dan can, in response, use his other divining top that's active.
Yep.
And that forces another red blast out of Jack's hand to keep this stack going like this.
Yep. That's a trick. But don't forget, Musser does have a Brainstorm in his hand. I think he might cast this now. There's a Brainstorm. Kitchen, I think, is going to move in response. Yep. Another blast. Trigger this. Yeah, this is going to be messy.
Yeah, Dan still has access to the other divining top.
Yeah, this is a legacy stack right here.
Yeah.
Love these. So Pyroblast right now is the last card on the stack targeting the Brainstorm. That is in response to the Red Elemental Blast. That's targeting the Counterbalance. That is trying to counter the Welder as Dan tried to activate Sensei's Divining Top. Blast again.
He might have broken out of this.
Yeah, I think so. Dan is going to maybe cast the Swords or spin the top first. He's going to spin the top. Yeah, and there's another Counterbalance up there, but the problem...
There's no one.
Only one blue mana. Uh-oh.
And Dan allowing that Blood Moon to sneak into play when he had the option of locking that out. Now the game's getting a little slippery for him. He's bottlenecked on blue and white mana.
Yeah, so a bunch of these things are going to resolve. So away goes that. All this stuff's going to happen. You know, the Power Blast is going to go away. The top is going to draw cards here. Yeah, they have to make sure they organize the stack appropriately. Yep. Let's draw a card. This goes back on top. Because don't forget, there are counterbalance triggers on the stack. Even though counterbalance is gone, there's still triggers on the stack. So there's the one. Counter that. Now Brainstorm resolves. You can see Musser knows exactly how his deck works, how the stack works. So now he gets to draw 3 cards. A top. A Terminus.
So
and a
now,
Tarn.
but now Brainstorm locked, and again, without the double blue necessary to reassemble a counterbalance.
This got messy in a hurry.
Yeah.
It took a lot of blasts from Kitchen to work out of this, but again, you can tell Jack knows exactly how his deck works too.
I mean, this is pretty impressive, and this all started because Jack was able to initiate a fight over a Goblin Walter, not the most significant card when Dan has a Rest in Peace in play.
Yep. It's funny, but I think Dan may have, it's crazy as it sounds, forgotten that he had Rest in Peace in play, and that there are no graveyards.
Well, I think that's one of those things where Dan, I don't think, was anticipating exactly this sequence occurring and thought, you know, Jack's just kind of firing off this Welder, maybe trying to sneak it into play, hoping I won't go for it. It's hard to predict your opponent having 3 copies of Red Elemental Blast in that spot.
Yeah. Well, now Musser may have found another island. We'll see. Didn't get a great look at that spin at the top, but the last thing that's going to happen here, again, don't forget there's a counterbalance trigger for the Welder, so reveal that. Now the stack is...
I think we're clean.
It's finally clean. Again, a bunch of counterbalance triggers there, all that stuff. Kitchen has broken out of the lock. Finally, he's been set free. He had to use a lot of cards to do so, but Musser draws, and you can actually just see an island in his hand. He's going to deploy a top. He's going to draw a card with the top right away. That's counterbalance. Now he's got a 1 on top of his deck. So all that to break out of the lock, and now Kitchen's right back in it.
You know, at least he tried.
Yeah. Musser was fortunate enough to find another island. That's how that worked out.
And it's hard to imagine Jack's going to be able to reassemble a hand in time that's capable of fighting through the 2 divining tops and the counterbalance like we just saw the last turn.
Now here comes the Spirit Guide. Enough is enough.
Yeah.
It's time for a change. Ancient Tomb comes down. Spin the top, Will Musser. So hit 1, 2, and 3. Force of Will among those cards. That probably is going to go to the grip. Now, to be fair, Kitchen doesn't have any cards in his hand, so Musser really can't attack through the Ensnaring Bridge. So Musser's going to have to find a different way.
He can establish Jace Lock at some point, I think.
I suppose that's true. Well, there's a quick trade. Let's see what this is. Painter's Servant. Trigger. And spin. And Council's Judgment, but only a single white. However, Terminus can get the job done. No real fear of Grindstone here, as Kitchen, 1, can't activate it, 2, Dan has Counterbalance plus Top in play, and 3, he also has a Swords of Plowshare, so life is pretty good there.
I'm trying to think what is Jack's road to victory from this spot. Even something like Koth the Hammer isn't really a route at this point because of the Ensnaring Bridge. Although I guess he could hypothetically go ultimate with it and try to win with a Koth emblem.
There it is. This is obviously where things get very, very difficult. This is the kind of the situation that when I was playing Painter in Seattle that I got in against Miracles, where they just start closing all the windows for you to get out of the game.
Yeah.
And because you are at the mercy of what you draw, you know, my opponent, much like Kitchens is right now, spinning tops. You know, fortunately for Jack, he's got Blood Moon in play, so no cracking of fetch lands here to optimize the top. But spinning tops at their leisure and setting up their draws much better than I was able to set up mine. Dan with an island. Yeah, now he's just looking for a way to win. Here's an attack with the Painter's Servant.
And I would imagine no additional actions here from Jack.
Yep, there's a top spin. Again, Terminus Island. Some other stuff there. See what Musser can find. And he's got that Forest Will, has his swords. He's got about all the windows closed. This here's Terminus. So Painter's going to go to the bottom. Yeah, I think right now, if you're Dan, it's just Jace. I saw Kitchen was going to cast a 1-mana spell, thought better of it. Well, maybe he tries now.
Well, Dan also has Council's Judgment in his hand right now, so even Entreat will work from here.
Sure. Well, does he have double white?
Oh, that's true.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
he's
what
still
he's
without double white.
Top on top, going to counter the 1-drop. Dan got to reorganize, make sure he never draws a top, so he's always going to leave a 1 on top. Musser going to draw the island now. He's going to spin the top right now. Again, this might be a situation where he's just digging very aggressively for Jace. And if he finds Jace, he's just going to lock it up. There's the island.
I mean, Jack's going to keep playing until Dan actually shows something to win the game with.
I mean, there's no reason not to.
Yeah.
A couple blast effects, and you're good for a Manic Vandal.
Yeah.
You ever cast on Manic Vandal?
Yes, I have. I think I had it in at least one invitational sideboard.
There you go. Legacy? Standard?
Standard.
Nice. Sometimes you just got to kill an artifact.
Oh, it was in the open that I won. I had that in my sideboard.
Oh, I guess, yeah, that was when Call Blade was a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess the Vandal has some utility there.
Mush some swords.
Yeah. Sword of War and Peace. There's a top. Kitchen will draw. 3 manas. What's this? Oh, yes. Imperial Recruiter. Looking to bring the heat. Dan's going to spin the top. Vendilion? Yeah. That's going to take care of that.
I mean, quite honestly, Jack might be happy to see that click there. It's the sweet release of death.
Well, sort of. Problem is, you can't really attack. There's a blast. We're going to this fight again?
Well, Dan can break it up with the Council's Judgment if he's feeling like getting aggressive here.
Well, again, still need second white.
Yep.
So this is with the blast on the stack.
He's looked at so many cards here, it's almost unfathomable he hasn't found a second planes.
There's Spell Pierce again revealed to that. Now I spin again. Probably make sure that he doesn't draw the click or the Spell Pierce.
Yeah.
Yeah, mystery card coming. So now he draws a card. That's a V-click. I guess he could fire off if he wants. Looks like he will. Yep. It is still very surprising to me, and I told Jerry this, that he's never played this deck.
The lock.
Jerry's like the last person I want to play against playing Miracles.
Yeah.
I mean, you can say that about a lot of the great players, right? Reed against Miracles? Yeah, no thanks. I guess unless you're Tom. Musser's going to put the Source of Plowshares to the bottom, get a little deeper into his deck. Another Force of Will. Yeah, he's closing all the doors.
Yeah. Well, they've been closed for a while.
Yeah. Sometimes it takes Miracles a little bit to win. Draw a card there, another copy of Force of Will.
It wouldn't surprise me if Dan's kind of converted into a real control deck. Lost a lot of his win conditions.
No, of course.
Trying to play a purely defensive game.
Yeah. Musser will pass back over to Kitchen. 3 mana. Who is it? It's Blood Moon number 2. Triggers. Spin that top. Terminus and friends. Spell Pierce and a land. None of you guys do it. Blood Moon's maybe in. Maybe Dan wants to counter it. We'll see.
I think the second one he can probably let go.
Oh, you think so? Musser, he's going to spend it a turn. Wants to draw a different card. All right, so there's the fetch land. That's what he'll draw. Passes it back. Still can't attack. Another 3-mana spell. Who's this? Imperial Recruiter. Spin that top. See if there's a 3 down there. Another copy of Force of Will. That'll probably be Dan's draw, next turn. But I don't think Dan's going to let this resolve. This is one of the few cards he actually has to counter.
He can hypothetically just counter whatever thing Jack is getting.
This is true.
And
what if he gets another Imperial Recruiter?
Start the chain?
Have you considered that?
I thought the Grey Ogre beatdowns were the last desperate stab, but I guess the 1/1s with buyback is a tier lower.
Are they anemic? Is that the word?
Yeah.
Oh, he's letting him search.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, there it is. Yes, sir. You don't counter the first, I'm going to go get the second. It's time to shift gears.
Jack sensing that the coast is clear.
If 2's good, you have to imagine the 3rd's even
Yeah.
better. I've also been down this road before.
Yeah.
Most of the time I try to do it alongside Alurin, but truth be told, that didn't work out all that great either.
Right.
Musser will draw. Another copy of Force of Will. Uh-oh. Let's beat down a clock.
Yep. Jack's got up to 3 cards in hand, so the click can attack through the bridge.
Yep. So that's the downside to searching up multiple Imperial Recruiters. You have too many cards in your hand. But the upside.
Boom. Jack, give Jack some credit here. He is, as bleak as this is looking and as, as tough as this is, he is really making the best effort he can to win this game.
There isn't a world I would concede this game in.
What's that?
There's no world, if I'm Jack, I would concede this game. Like, you have to beat me. What's the difference between, midnight and 12:05? You got to beat me.
That's 5 minutes. I mean, it all matters at a certain point, right?
You were going to kill me.
Yeah.
Dan going to draw. He's still got that Terminus floating there. He's got 4 copies of Force Will in his hand. Sure. In comes old Clicky Poo.
He's also got a Terminus on the float, too, so...
In case it gets too hot in the red zone. Tie game now.
Yeah, all tied up.
Here's another Simian Spirit Guide. Now that won't get the Force Will either. Dan's going to spin. I think balances on the stack still. Still Brick City.
Yep. It's hard to accuse someone of overextending when your creatures are that motley crew, but Jack is throwing caution to the wind as it pertains to Terminus.
It's actually easily my favorite part of the Imperial Painter deck is that group of guys.
Sometimes the board states that Imperial Painter produces, it's like nothing else in all of Magic.
An attack? Not quite. How about a blast? Spin. Terminus among them. That's a Spell Pierce. But now, under 3 cards, so no attacks from V-Click. Musser just passes the turn back, I think.
I think he's got 8 cards in hand right
think
now.
so, too. Yep. And he'll have to discard a Scalding Tarn. So, Kitchen will draw a card. Here comes the platoon.
Burr, 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 burr.
Terminus? It's time.
Oh,
Yeah.
they came so close.
And away they go. Back in the deck for more fun.
See, I don't like the way that Jack ordered his creatures at the
Oh,
bottom of his
sure.
deck there because he could have put the Imperial Recruiters close to the top and reestablished the chain.
Well, actually, we're going to start the chain again right now.
Does Dan want to go through this charade?
1-1 City. Yep. Knew exactly where that was.
Yeah.
That one okay? Yep. 1-1 City. Ever heard of it?
Terminus is not a good answer to this scenario.
Accurate. Spin that top.
And Jack can leave an Imperial Recruiter back in his hand, reestablish the chain at a moment's notice.
You've noticed just like he has. You guys basically on the same page.
Yeah, yeah.
Volcanic Island's the new card. Kitchen wants to take a look at Musser's graveyard, so he will do that. And even Jack's trying not to laugh at this point. And even though we are kind of joking a little bit here, it's not, it's not inconceivable.
What the hell is going on Dan's side of the table? You know what I mean? Like, did he cut everything except some Vendilion clicks to win the game? I don't know.
Is Jace the bottom 2?
Is he getting decked this game somehow? Like, I mean, I guess it's possible.
He's going to take a licks. 2 more. Spin that top. Another Terminus is floating up there on Spell Pierce in the land. Musser's going to draw a card. Yep, there's Volk. This is unbelievable.
This is...
Yep, discard. Go. 2. No. Terminus. Maybe Dan won't let him start the chain this time.
Yeah.
I actually think it's appropriate to probably not let him start the chain.
He's discarding to hand size anyway, and at this point, what else are you going to counter, you know?
Hiya. Force of Will. Take that. Uh-oh. Painter Servant. I might want to counter that, maybe. It's like kind of annoying. Maybe?
I mean...
Yeah, it's kind of hard. He's going to counter it. I think I would counter it too.
Sure.
It's like just annoying enough that I'd want to counter it, I think.
It does feel like the type of card where if you lose this game somehow, it's involved.
Yeah, when you had 4 Force of Wills and you're just like, yeah, Painter's fine. All of a sudden you lose to it. Gonna spin the top will Musser. The Mind Sculptor is still hiding, assuming it's in Dan's deck.
Yeah.
As is, you know, another Plains. Still not there. Now, to be fair, he only has 2 Plains in his deck, so. 4 islands, 2 plains, and a mountain. Number of Jaces, of course. He's got 3 of those. Kitchen draws. It's a mountain. Kick it back. His turns are simple. Dan's actually aren't that tough either. It just involves a lot of top spinning.
They are not complicated, but they are time-consuming.
They are. And top number 2. It's back to party. Kitchen draws. There's a great furnace, and it's time to move in the Vandal. Spin the top. New card. It's a mountain. Doesn't have enough of those. There you do see the human warrior. You're a good friend.
Yeah. Smashing swords, smashing spell skites.
Spellskite's not your good friend.
No, I lost that card a ton.
Oh, and the Manic Vandal is force willed for the first time ever.
I believe that's come up before.
No. Nope.
People play with artifacts that are good in Legacy all the time. Often force wills in their deck as well.
All right.
I don't think that it's ever been on this kind of board where it's not really doing anything besides being a Grey Ogre, but...
Dan gonna spin again. Just can't find a Jace. It's kind of wild.
Yeah, this is...
There's a mountain. Oddly enough, too, like, I agree with you where using the Manic Vandal, or using the force of the Manic Vandal there is, like, probably not great. 'Cause, again, Dan obviously only has a finite number of forces, and he's only got one left, so he's got to make it count. And, you know, the Manic Vandal not really doing a lot on this board. You would try to kill a top and you draw. Spin to win. Is that a hitting needle?
Yep. I mean, I think that at this point, a needle on Koth may just about do it.
Grindstone, maybe. I guess Grindstone's not resolving,
Yeah.
right? Might want to keep floating the 1, though. I guess he's got a Spell Pierce in there, so he's actually able to just draw that.
I'm starting to get concerned about what's going on in Dan's deck here.
Yeah, so am I.
Oh,
What's that?
a Fencer.
Does he have a second Fencer in the sideboard?
I believe so. I think that's another play out of the Joe
Yep.
Lissette book.
Okay.
The Staticaster as well.
Yeah. Dan gonna hold strong. There's the City of Traders. Three cards. Vencer's one of them. I just wants to make sure he uses it correctly. Unfortunately for Dan, you know, this is a situation where he'd love to bounce a Blood Moon, as it would turn his entire deck on. But there are 2 in play. He'd have Vencer plus Caracas and get out of the Blood Moon. There's a counterspell on those cards.
Well, I think what he will want to do is get to Vencer, bounce the bridge with a 4 floating.
Yeah, sure.
Or a 3 floating, rather, excuse me.
That's fine, too. Uh-oh. Click, click, boom.
Huh?
It's a Ratchet Bomb. That's a counterbalance. That's not resolving. We spin it again. Time to draw. We spin it again. You don't love this, you don't love Magic.
I don't know if that's true.
That's definitely true. Top number 3. Jack just draws, plays plateau, passes. Dan's gonna spin again.
This is one of those things where if my parents were watching who have no knowledge of Magic, I'd have a very difficult time explaining to them what I do for a living.
Sure.
You know?
Look, Mom, my opponent really can't do anything.
Yeah.
Just the way I like it. I take back everything I just said. Simian Spirit Guide in the house.
Mm-hmm.
Musser gonna weigh his options here. And the counter spell.
Now that might be a legacy first.
I think so. That's my favorite counterspell artwork.
It's a fine choice. Definitely a fine choice.
Back when I was young and stupid and casting counterspell.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jack is like, Dan, would you just kill me? And he's like, I can't. Trust me, I want to. I want to go play Ross Merriam. I want to go home and I can't. I don't know how many cards are left in that deck. There's not a ton. Back to Kitchen. He's just going to play him out and kick it back. We'll spin it to win it. Fencer's still in there. Musser will draw. Spin it to win it. Entreat the Angels.
Oh, no. Still
No
can't
second
cast.
place.
Oh, my God.
You thought you broke out of luck. But how wrong you were. That'll teach you. That'll teach you to show biased reporting.
So this is my question. What is preventing Dan from just saying, I'm going to Venser the bridge, cast my Snapcaster, untap, attack you, counter the bridge on the way back?
I don't know.
What's preventing this line of play?
I don't know. There's Entreat the Angels. I imagine that he has a reason for not doing this. I do imagine that's the case. I'm not entirely sure what that reason is, but I do imagine he has a reason for not making that play. Draw a card. Venser. Well, people are saying if Dan loses this game, I should do a cartwheel. Decline.
Yeah.
I will decline your offer, Twitter. Though if you would like to tweet at us during this riveting affair, at Cedric A. Phillips, at Basic Mountain, at SCG Live, hashtag SCGNV.
I mean, if Dan loses this game, he should probably cartwheel himself out of competitive batting tournaments for a little while.
It's a tough one to lose.
Yeah.
It's a tough one to lose. Give Jack some credit. I would have conceded 20 turns ago.
I mean, credit's a word.
Staying tough.
Well, there have been moments, even as excruciating as this has been, where there's been a glimmer of hope on Jack's side of the table. He has been attacking periodically. The ensnaring bridge has caused some amount of hassle for Dan. And I guess if you're in Jack's position, the game's gone on for 25 turns like this. Maybe it goes on for another 15 and Dan gets decked somehow or something weird happens.
People are wondering how our day has been. You know, been pretty good.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed it. Chris Van Meter won the Standard Open. Reed, Duke, and Tom Ross, they battled in the finals of our Invitational. Tom Ross went back-to-back. Anytime you get to watch Reed, that's always a delight. Apparently, actual paint could have dried by now. It's debatable. Some saying it's ironic there are so many basic mountains in play, given that you're here.
Mm-hmm. Oh, another counterspell. Nice.
Hey, you used to do this to people when you used to play that Thieving Magpie deck.
Oh, I did.
Okay.
Well, no,
So don't get on your little high horsey.
I would have killed someone with a Fairy Conclave by now.
That's true.
20 shots with a Thieving Magpie. Something.
The working man's manland. Uh-oh. It's time to move in.
Now, the working man's manland is Forbidden Watchtower. Killing someone with that thing's real hard.
And now, here comes the Vendilion click. Musser is making his move.
Yep.
Apparently. Nutso Palace and someone should pull the fire alarm to spice this up.
Yeah.
As we did have to deal with that earlier today. Yeah, it's actually going to be us. The bridge has been countered. The coast is looking clear. Musser will draw and attack. Put Kitchen down to 2. There's a land. Does he have it?
What is it?
Yeah. Does he have it? It looks like he does.
And ironic, sarcastic applause bursts from the gallery still watching this horror show as Dan Musser wins 2-1 to advance to the finals.
Congratulations to Dan Musser. he gets to play one more match this evening.
Yeah. Yep. Sure does.
I've never rooted for Ross Merriam more.
Come on, Ross.
Dan, congratulations. Ohio's own. You